When I was a lot younger, I was always in a rush, and I was pretty flamboyant. I was pretty egotistical. Flamboyant and egotistical, they go in the same sentence. But yeah, I was always in a rush to get things done and make a making big moves, or what I thought was big moves, um, and trying to chase down opportunities that presented themselves. I could never get in front of those opportunities, which used to really frustrate me. Um, Fast forward, 30 odd years, things are a lot different. So let's dive in and get into it, eh? That's what today's episode's about. G'day, g'day, g'day. Simon here, the profitable fencer. This is a fencer's life, lessons from the trenches, and today's episode 18, is all about opportunities and how to evaluate those opportunities so you don't make the mistakes that I made. And as the introduction sort of preluded to, I was always in a hurry to get things done, to make a big name for myself, to be seen as the doer and the risk taker and the action taker. And I can tell you, it bit me on the butt more times than you could poke a stick at. And I want to get into this today, especially because there's been a lot of people reaching out to me saying they're having problems with getting started, not being able to quote right, not being able to get labour right, losing money on the front end and on the back end of their business. And I can tell you, I've been there. It sucks, and I didn't have things in place. And not all opportunities present themselves that do present themselves uh, are worth taking, if that makes sense. So um, that was something that I struggled with really early on in my business. I was so impatient, and over the last 30 years, the patience uh, has sort of come at its own cost, or the impatience has come at its own cost. So I want to go through a few things that I've learned along the way in today's episode. Hopefully, it's not too long, but yeah, I want to go that way for you so you can understand where I'm coming from. So let's dive into that. So for me, as a fencer, and for most of you blokes, we start our businesses because we don't like being told what to do. We don't like having bosses. We want to have the freedom to do what we want to do, and ultimately we end up becoming everybody's servant rather than being in control of our own destiny, because we try to take too much on, and we're doing everything 100 mile an hour, trying to be seen, and trying to grow our business and do the right thing. And we take jobs on that, for the best part, hurt us and um, don't or aren't beneficial for that matter. And it's to be seen, and to be just doing, that's making us our name out there. And this is something I've learned over the years, and it sort of reared its head for me this morning again. And I wanted to touch base on this. I had a mentor years ago. I was in a mastermind with Ben Simpkins, only a young fella, but had sold over $1 billion worth of ads on Facebook, and was very much he's very much an introvert, but very, very quiet spoken, complete polar opposites to me and to where I am. And he was making all this money, and I couldn't understand. And I had a chat to him one day on the side, and we were talking about opportunities. And I said, I just can't get myself in front of the right opportunities, and they didn't seem to present themselves quite often. One every 6 months might come along. And he told me then and there, and I know now in hindsight, I can see them, but he told me then and there that opportunities are like a highway. It's just like the truck's going down the highway. He said there's one will come screaming past you and you can't get in front of it, or for whatever reason something happens. He said, but you miss that one. There's another one right behind it. There's another one right behind it. You just got to know what to look for. And every now and then you just got to throw yourself in front of one of them to make them stick. And I sort of looked at that and I went, mate, he's crazy. What is he talking about? But coming down to where I am now, and because I was in such a hurry to be seen as the best, I wanted to make my business the best, the biggest. There was a few other big plays in and around Lismore in my area where I was working in the Northern Rivers, and I decided to make my area 100k sort of radius. And I sort of based that off because when I was in Sydney, and I was in New South Wales, Sydney, and fencing there, it would take me an hour to get to work at any given time. Now, I grew up in Blacktown in the western suburbs, and even just to drive over to Mount Druitt to do a bit of work, it would take me, it'd be like 5k's away, 10k's away, and it'd take me bloody 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the truck, in the traffic. And if I went the other way towards Parramatta or towards Smithfield or things like that, it'd take me 40 minutes getting caught in traffic. So I sort of thought, well, now I'm in the country and I'm based in a little town of 3,000 people, and I'm working in the next metro area for us, or the next sort of regional town was Lismore, which had about 60,000 people. Sorry, that's my area that I work in. I thought, well, to make things stick for me, I can't do one type of fencing. I have to do all types of fencing. So I had to spread myself thin. And back then I was just doing residential, so I had to do colour-bond pool fencing, a bit of security, bit of chain wire, timber paling, and get my name out that way. I couldn't just concentrate on timber paling fences because there weren't enough around of that kind just on its own, and I would go broke basically because I just, I might get one every 6 months. So I decided to branch out, do the whole Northern Rivers, do a sort of a Byron Bay to Grafton area, which was 100k from my hometown, roughly. Take me an hour to get to work, and I could sort of manage that hour and a half to Grafton. So that's how I designed my location side. Then, as I started to grow, what I would focus on, if I focused on one type of fencing, for example, if I was pool fencing and swimming pools used to sort of come in, it used to do my head in, because as soon as it started to get warm, people would go, oh, we want a swimming pool, and they'd start to put pools in. There's no sort of pre-thought, whereas my thought process was, if you're going to put a pool in, let's get it in the winter when it's cold, so it's ready to swim in by the summer, not get it in summer and then it's ready to swim in by autumn or the fall. So I was sort of thought that way, and whatever I focused on, I would get. So it could be, I could have a run of timber fencing for 6 months, and that's all I did was timber fencing. And then I could flip over to chain wire. And once I started doing chain wire, it used to be one after the other. I'd get 4 or 5 or 6 jobs of chain wire jobs that would or chain link jobs that would flow in to the back of the chain link, and it was really bizarre how things would work. So I'm here to tell you guys, the opportunities will come, and when they do come, don't be so impatient to jump out and just try and grab them both ends and wrestle them to the ground, because you have to sort of evaluate what you're going to get out of that opportunity, and is it actually beneficial to you, your family, or your business. Okay, so those 3 things is what I gauge on now. If we're talking solely business, I need to make sure that the opportunity is going to be good for my cash flow, doesn't kill my supplier relationship if it is bad for my cash flow, doesn't put all my eggs in one basket, has a quick turnaround for payments and for invoices for cash flow, doesn't lock me up for 6 months on one job that I can't, even if I'm doing progress invoices, for example, that I'm getting them on time, so then they're coming monthly, not every 90 days or 60 days. So that doesn't hurt my cash flow. Is it going to lock me up for too long that all my other little jobs that I've got going are going to suffer, or is it going to backlog me too much? So there's all these things that you've got to sort of think of, go through a mental checklist and tick them off, and make sure that it is beneficial for you. And same wise with the family. Is going to take you on a working trip somewhere you're gonna miss out on family time or stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you've got to play into, and I hope that makes sense for some of you, especially some of you new starters coming in. I really want to nail that down, that don't be in too much of a rush to get to where you're going, because all of a sudden you'll get there and you won't be prepared for it. So you're going to do a little bit of homework before you jump on that highway and go down that track. Okay, let's just jump to a break, and we'll come back and talk about the next section. Okay, so the next part is we've been running a lot of ads to grow our Facebook group called the Fence Posts. Naturally on Facebook, it's a group just for fences, and I hope you guys are getting some value out of that, and also out of these podcasts. But one of the things we put in the group was a cost analysis sheet, and I do want to jump over to a sheet now and just run you through a little tutorial on that, because it is such a good thing to have, that especially for you newer fellas. Again, look, I use this all day, every day. It's my go-to for everything, so I know I'm making money and I'm not leaving anything out. And this is the thing that sort of blew me away, as I sort of alluded to in the intro, was I had just done this job. I got asked by local government to do a quote for a certain type of job, and I wrote the scope for the job. I gave the client the scope. I gave them the specifications that needed or were required for this job, and I then proceeded to quote it. Now, this job changed 3 or 4 times over this job changed 2 or 3 or 4 times over the course of 2 months before the job had actually even started. So the requirements had changed, the meterage had changed, the style had changed, a little bit of to and fro, and so there was a lot of phone calls, a lot of things happening. When it push come down to shove, the client rang me and said, "Oh, can you just upgrade your quote for this?" On these types of jobs, I split my quotes, so I have all the materials listed, machinery hire, skip bins, waste removal, demolish and remove. I think there was scissor lifts in here as well, and then I also had labour on it. So when the quantities changed, I was out on another job site, and she rang quickly and said, "I need it today. Can you get it to me?" Rah, rah, rah. So bang, I got it to her. Changed everything that was required. It's simple. It was all itemised, so it was pretty easy. I got awarded the job, and then when I was going through the purchase order, when things just didn't add up, they weren't quite right of what I was looking at. And what I had realised is I changed all the quantities for the materials and the itemised sections, but when it came down to the labour, I didn't change the labour, so I was out by 70 metres. So I quickly rang the client and said, "This is no good. The purchase order is no good because there's 70 metres missing out of the thing." Well, anyway, long story short, I got a bit of a scolding because she'd written a purchase order out for the government, and now she had to go and change it, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, she goes, "Well, that's going to push you, if you change it, it's going to push you over the other quotes, the other two quotes that they've got." My response to that was that I didn't really care about pushing the other two quotes, if it made me higher, because I've got everything covered off. And I work on quality, value, history and reputation, and quality over price. I don't want to be the cheapest person in this game or in this room, because I've been down that track, and if you're the cheapest person and you're just trying to get your work in the gate, there's no room for error, and things will go wrong, and they generally do. There's something been missed. It's quoted. It was a quote, a sight unseen. I knew the area, but I didn't know the definite particulars of certain things. So I don't have a service locator myself, so I have to hire all these things. I'm a small fry in that sense of things, so I hire all these different things in. So anyway, quote come back to, "You've got the jobs, Simon, no worries, blah, blah, blah." And then by the time I got home, I had an email saying the events had gone to somebody else, the other competition, because I had priced myself over it. With another email, I sent an email off to them this morning and said, again, is it fishing and fishing from the same barrel as everyone else, and everything seems to be price based. Where's the history and the reputation and the quality and everything else that I'm supplying, that when I do the job, there are no hidden extras. You will not be charged any extras, because this is what it's going to be, and I hope you don't get stung. And of course that stirred up the hornet's nest, and you were the dearest one, Simon, and blah 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 blah. I've been down this track so many times where I've turned around and felt pressured and felt like I've just got to get the job, and I was really, really annoyed. And in the past, I would have dropped my price, basically dropped my pants, and just taken the job on. And I think the difference, it was a 50 odd grand job, wasn't a huge job, but 50 odd grand, and there was I think the price difference that I had changed from winning it to losing it was $3,700. So not a massive amount. So it really sort of ticked me off, and it was grinding my gears a little bit. So I sort of spoke out a bit, probably too much, which is what I tend to do. And yeah, the job went to someone else, and I just couldn't sort of fathom that idea of how the others are quoting. Now, my supplies are pretty good, but I use what we call a cost analysis sheet to run all my prices through, and then I put them back into my quotes to double check them. And in my quoting system, it has a markup of my costings as well, that they sort of very, very, very close. So I lost the job, and I stuck to my guns, and I didn't take it on. So then she sends me another quote. Do you want to quote this next job? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, what is it? I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot. What is it? And I had a quick look at it and then politely declined and haven't heard anything since. My point to this is you can stay home and go broke. I know the two other companies that are taking this job on or may win this job will have extras at the end of it because they can't do it for the only way they can do it is have a lot of blokes and smash it out, which I know one of them does. The other one would basically just give it to a subby and not cover anything else off. So, which is fine. If I had taken my waste removal and skip bin out, taken the scissor lift hire out, and left it just to a subby to organise, that would have pushed me back under, and I probably would have won the job. I'm not here now to sort of turn around and say, well, did I do the right thing or do the wrong thing? But I'm here to make money. If I have to hire a subcontractor, I want them to make money. I've been down the path where things were tight and a subby of mine got burnt by me, and that has never sat well with me, and I couldn't do anything about it. So now if I have to go down that track and I'm using other people, I'm making sure they're covered off big time first. And so far, 5-6 years later after my demise, that everything has worked perfectly for me. But I don't want to be just another subby on the ground that the local government are using and that there's sort of screw on the pooch, So I do these cost analysis screens, and this is what I've been giving away as part of my lead generation for the Facebook group, the Fence Post. So if you've seen them, please come over to the Fence Post. There is a tutorial in there on how to use it, but I just want to quickly run through this with you as well. So we'll just jump to an ad, and then we'll come back. So let's just, I'll see if I can share my screen here, and we can go and have a look at that. Okay, so if you can see, this is a template of a cost analysis. This can go through rural fencing. It can go through all types of fencing. So I've got this one set up for rural at the moment. What I want to look at for you guys is the way it covers off your costs. You can put all your items in through this section here, your quantities, and then your costs, and then you add your markup onto it. Now, what a lot of the time, and I'll just pull one up here that we can have a quick look at. I'm pretty sure I've been using these quite a lot lately, so they've just want to pull one up here. Okay, so this is one that I've been working on here a fair bit, and yep. So with the prices on this, you can put your meterage in here, and you can work everything out to 100 meters. It then goes into it'll split your formulas up through here, so it'll be whatever's in this yellow box here, meterage will divide it by 4 meter centers. If you wanted to divide it by 3, you could have 3 meter centers. it'll tell you how many pickets you need. Then gate fittings and posts. So 100 metres, got two at one either end. Barbed wire, I worked down to a cent, a breakdown. So we know we need one roll, which is 500 metres of high tensile, 5 barb, and then we need an adjuster stay either end of the strainers. And the labour, look, you could have $5, you can have $9. That's where I would normally have it sit. And you could see down here on the costings is where it all changes price. So where it changes price on those things there, you see that cost. I have seen fences go out and sell that cost there, basically to the customer. So they would go out and say, right, it's going to cost $21.10, and that's good enough for me. I'll sell it at that. These are all pre-GST. And these are mega pickets too. These aren't normal star pickets, but these are mega pickets. But it makes you sort of look at it and go, righto, even if they were normal pickets, $10.50 or something like that, I think I'm paying for them. You can see where that changed straight away. So go back to 21. Yeah. So go to normal pickets. Right. So brings the cost down. So I've seen farmers go out and look, this labour right may be too high. It's got to be comfortable with what you think you can get out of it. So if you're charging $5 a metre to get out, I know some blokes are charging $2 a metre, but they're doing a kilometre a day. So if you do it for $2 a metre and you do a kilometre a day, it's down to $10.48. But then if you put 1,000 in up here, you've got to work out your fittings. If you're doing one every 10 metres, so you've got 11 posts. You've got you're going to have probably 22 of those. If you're putting them, depends on where they go. If they go inside like a double stay, just allow for it. So you know where you're sort of at that way, and then you've still got to get your material to the job. So it might be $1,200 now to do a full load like that, or could be $600. I'm not sure how you guys get your stuff there, and you put it on there. So it's $10.48. So now if you're doing that and you send that out to a job at $10.48, and something goes wrong and you're doing $2 a metre, so you basically made $2,000 to do that. And if you can do that in a day, great. If you in my area, I can't. It hurts me too much. But what I've done is in this column here, I set up the markup. So I want to make 35% markup will give me a gross profit of about 26%. So that goes on top of that. So I would sell the job at $14.15 per metre. If I want more, I would bring it to that $16. If I want more, 100% markup is going to give you a 50% gross profit. And this is what I'm hearing a lot from the Americans, that they're trying to sell all their jobs at 50% gross profit, because that will give them around about the 17% to 20% net profit at the end of the year. And there's a lot of room, a hell of a lot of room to move if something goes pear-shaped and there's an error somewhere. Okay, so I really want, this is how I use it. I use it on every job. Every job's different. You can make different ones up. It's so simple to make up. You can just, depends on where you're buying it. You've got to put your prices in from what you're buying. Okay, so you can work all these things out, and it is so handy, and it makes such a big difference when you're quoting jobs. So you've got everything covered off. Okay, so this is why I've set this up. This is why it's a free tool that my team and I made up a long time ago, and then we started honing in on bits and pieces. I've been using it all the time now, and I know every job that we've done and that I've used this cost analysis, we've made a profit on. Every time I've just sort of winged it and thought where I need to be, there has been hidden extras in the job. And look, there always will be. There might be hidden extras in the job where the labour goes up. Now, pardon me, these are all based on labour rates per metre, and I break every job down per metre. So for you Americans, you can change that meterage to feet and work out how many sections you need per feet and things like that, and work it out that way. And I know Sean King, he likes to break all of his fences down to per sections, and I think that's a brilliant idea as well. And I've done that in the past with my ColourBond and things like that. Not so much timber, because I've got my timber pretty spot on, and I very rarely lose on that. But for the rural side of things, there's always hidden tie-ins where you need extra strainer posts or things like that. So if you're quoting for those types of things and you've got all them covered off in your cost analysis, you won't get stung. And that's basically how I got stung out on one of my jobs and lost a lot of money, and was the ultimate sort of demise of my first big company. And I was not using a cost analysis, and a lot of things come up that I was putting my hand in my pocket for that the client was not paying for, that was just expected. And then when we thought about it, I lost. So if you're doing this, use the cost analysis. It is a great tool. It is so beneficial, and you'll make money off when you check your jobs. And this is another must do for you guys who are in business. It is one thing to quote the job, get the job, do the job, but after you've done the job, you must check the job and the profit and see where you are. Now, even if you're doing it once a month, pick out a job, get your bookkeeper, your spouse, your brother, who cares who it is, just get somebody to go over the numbers of that job to see if you made money. And be honest. If you're not honest with yourself, it's not going to work. So be honest. There's so many jobs out there that have used a different, one extra bag of cement or two extra bags of cement, or there was 2 or 3 hours of extra labour that have gone in there that wasn't accounted for. So be honest. I know some of you guys like to find out how quickly you can get things done and be efficient and be effective, and they're two words that are completely sort of onerous to your job. You have to make sure that you are being effective, but to be effective, you also have to be efficient. And there's a lot of people out there who are being effective but aren't being efficient, and it's actually costing them a few dollars on the ground. Now, my job as the profitable tradie here, and talking to you guys in the fence post in the Facebook group, is that I know because there's so much information out there, it's so easy to get overwhelmed, especially when you're starting up. So that's where I'm here to help you guys. If you want help, just reach out. I'm more than happy to help. I do have a 12-month program that is personalised guidance through the business, coaching for fencers and tradies, and helps you scale quickly and make sure you leave no stone unturned. So without further ado, that will be me for today. I hope you enjoyed this show and get something out of it. If you have, please leave a comment, and we can have a chat down there. So see you in the Facebook group. Ciao.